Do you want to learn a foreign language? Do you want to know what the best method is? My name's Harold Allman, and I think the natural method is the best method for learning a foreign language. I've got this book in front of me. It's called Spanish in Spanish, and I'm going to give you an overview of what's in the book and just review it a little bit and tell you why this method really worked well for me when I was learning Spanish and also learning Latin. So this is the earliest book I could find that used the natural method. So let's open up the book and find out what's inside. So first of all, yeah, it was a used book and it was sold for at one time for just 30 cents, which is pretty amazing for a hardcover book. These are the front pages, Spanish in Spanish, and it's by Rafael Diaz de la Cortina. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm not a Spanish speaker. And this version was published in 1941. So here's an index, and it looks like we have a list of 11 chapters here. And it goes up to chapter 20 there. There's a section on grammar, and there's an appendix over here. It looks like we have about 213 pages. Here are the instructions to the professor, and the instructions are in Spanish. This is awesome. This is exactly the type of book that you should use when learning a foreign language. There is no English in this book, which is awesome. So these are the instructions to the professor. So this is the first chapter, and I don't know how good my pronunciation is, but let me try and read some of this. So at this point in time, when I started reading this book, I had finished a book in Latin by Hans Orberg called Lingua Latina, and Spanish is derived from Latin, so that gave me a big advantage. And obviously I know English, so let me just read some of this. Paris es la capital de Franquilla. ¿Es Paris la capital de Franquilla? Sí, Paris es la capital de Franquilla. ¿Es Madrid la capital de Franquilla, Margarita? No, Madrid no es la capital de Franquilla. Juan, ¿es Londres la capital de Inglaterra? So, I'm not having any difficulty pronouncing this, obviously, because it's so much like Latin, and I can understand the words immediately. So what this method does is it starts with sentences that are so simple that hopefully you can understand it if you can understand the Roman alphabet, right? So if you can't, then, well, okay, you're going to have to learn the alphabet. But for most of the people in the world, or a lot of people in the world, they understand the Latin alphabet, and that includes people in China, because they understand or they can read Pinyin. So a lot of people can just use this book and have nothing else and learn Spanish. So that's the first lesson, and there are some looks like some notes, and there's some notes down up here, and the notes are also in Spanish. So you are forced to use Spanish. There's no English translation. So this is the second chapter, and if you read this, the complexity is just going to go up a little bit. It's going to add a few more words, but it's all based on the words you learned in the previous chapter. So let me skip forward to say chapter 5, and I'll let you look at that. And well, there's not much text on here, so let's have a look at the second page. And you can stop this and read this, and you'll notice that it's gradually getting more complex as we go through the chapters. And I'll show you chapter 10. Here's the first page. You can pause it and look at that. And here's the second page with a lot more text. And you can see it's getting a lot more complicated. So you're expected to learn the new words by the context, just the way a native speaker would do it. So when you do this, it actually helps you retain the meanings of the words much better than if you looked them up in a Spanish-English dictionary or you had a vocabulary list to help you. So let's go to chapter 15, and you can see how complicated that chapter is. So it looks like we've got a note up there, not much text. So I'll just pause that. And that's the level of difficulty you're going to get in chapter 15. I'm just reading this over. Okay, and let's go look at the last chapter, chapter 20. Right here, there's the first page over here, the notes at the bottom again. And just pause that, and you can check out the complexity of the text over here. And so if you actually don't cheat and you read through this book, you get to I'd say a medium level of comprehension of Spanish. So after chapter 20, I think we get into a grammar section over here. And they're talking about verbs over here. And we have a list of verbs, of regular verbs. And some more grammar. So, no English at all in this book. Pretty amazing. This was published around 1905. Basically, computers don't exist at this time. Obviously, the internet doesn't exist. Television doesn't exist. This is a really, really old book. And I really like this method of learning a foreign language. But wait, there's more. See if I get this in the view. This book here, it's called Spanish in Spanish. No dust cover, I believe, on any of these versions. Had no pictures. And then later on, they had another version called Español en Español that had some pictures. So this is this book, I think, is called Spanish in Spanish Illustrated. This version was published in 1979 based on another version published in 1941. It has the same 20 chapters. There's a preface in Spanish. And there you go. We have, I think it's one picture per chapter. They're not particularly helpful in understanding the text. So essentially it's the same book. Let me show you some of the other pictures. This is chapter 3. The picture for chapter 5. But the book has the same structure. And you can get either one of these books used at a very reasonable price. Do not overpay for these books. You can go online and find them at on used bookstores or your local bookstore maybe. Well, actually, I never found any at my local bookstore. I found these all online, and there's a lot of places that sell books online. And some people are asking really outrageous prices. Like I think I saw the German version of this for $75 on Amazon. That is way too expensive. If you liked the video, please subscribe to the channel and take care. I will see you in the next video, and I do mean you, so stay tuned because I'm here to help you in your foreign language study. Take care.